Is Google's search in AI going to kill SEO as we know it? If you've been following our channel all, you know that I've talked on this topic before in a previous video where we covered an in-depth masterclass on what SGE is, which is Google's name for the Search Generative Experience. And that is quite literally AI coming to search, where AI is writing the answers to the questions that we are typing into Google. So this is an updated class on that because here on our channel, our goal is to help you stay on top of all of these things. Google's generative AI in search is definitely going to change the game forever when it comes to search, and it is constantly changing and adapting as Google refines it and it gets better and better. So let's jump right into this and talk all about Google's AI in search, what you need to know right now. So first of all, I want to tell you that if anyone says that SEO is dead, they're lying, and stop listening to them, okay? Because I have heard that at least 20 times from SEO experts, even Google spokesperson themselves. I still remember about 9 years ago when Matt Cutts said that guest blogging for SEO was dead. And I'll tell you, I still guest blog today, right? I'm an author at Search Engine Land, a Search Engine Journal. And my bylines create traffic and authority for me that actually weighs into the EAT that I have, the experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trust, which is what EAT stands for. And EAT is Google's Page Quality Rater Guidelines. Even when Google's own spokespeople say that something is dead, take it with a grain of salt. That's my first piece of advice. So why is SEO not dying, even though generative AI is here in search? And we're going to talk all about it. So please stay for this whole video. It's going to be the best thing you saw on this topic. At least that's my goal. I've been consuming hours and hours and hours of content myself from other pros that are speaking great things and truthful statements on this, and I'm distilling it down for you with my own knowledge based on a lot of experiments I've ran in Google's generative AI. So smash that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't. That's important because we're going to keep you updated on this topic, and I want you to keep coming back here for the latest. Why is SEO not dying with generative AI coming to search and transforming everything? So first of all, we need to know what Google is. It's a traffic machine. In fact, it's probably one of the most underestimated traffic machines in the world because it's easy to think, oh, Instagram, there's millions of followers there. There's billions of likes and hearts and comments. You don't see that in Google. You see a list of search results. There's no vanity metrics attached to getting those results. Oftentimes, there's crickets. You don't get hearts. You don't get all those vanity metrics. But the truth is that Google brings in 80% of the world's online traffic. That's a hefty amount. In fact, 8.5, it's now near 9 billion searches per day occur in Google. Compare this to 2020 when it was 3 billion searches per day. This is only growing, and it's going to continue to. And yes, ChatGPT is now a resource for people to go to for answers, but I can tell you it's not going to ever replace Google simply because Google is ingrained into us as a society. It really is. So how will the biggest change that we have quite possibly ever seen hit Google? How will that affect you? That's the question you should be asking. That's the question you are asking if you're watching this, right? Because quite frankly, it is the biggest change that has ever hit, I would say, the online world as we know it. Generative AI right now is disrupting everything. In what I do, what I used to do, human-only writing, it will impact over 100 million writing jobs this year alone. And it's set to replace 60 to 70% of the functions we do at work in the next 3 years. Think about that. 60 to 70% of the things we do will be replaced by AI. If that doesn't blow your mind, I don't know what would. That's crazy. And that's a McKinsey study, by the way, that was done this year. Okay, so how will this affect search traffic? We got to keep in mind a few things. Number one is Google's ad revenue and where it comes from. So in 2022, Google's ad revenue was $224 billion. By the way, search is a $1 trillion online industry. Name another $1 trillion online industry. Search is one of the biggest ones. In Google Ads, $162 billion. was in Google's pocket. That's 58.1% of Google's entire revenue. So more than half of their revenue actually comes from Google search itself. And then there's YouTube ads, Google network ads, the apps, the hardware, the content they do, Google Cloud, right? But the majority is ads. So knowing that, Google can't screw this up. Google can't screw up what is the majority of their revenue, because where does that CPC, cost per click, come from? Where does it come from? It comes from us, creators and publishers and website owners, driving the cost up because we create the competition. We as site owners and publishers, and maybe even agency owners doing this for our clients, we quite literally drive this for Google. There would be no competition if there were no creators. That's why Google cannot afford to screw this up. So you've heard me talk about this before. If you've heard any of my talks, I even did a keynote in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and this was my topic, the E in EAT, which is now a double E. So Google added that extra E in December of 2022. And I don't hear anyone else other than me talking about this. But I think that that extra E in EAT was a hallmark marker for Google to say this year and the years to come, hey, that content is good to rank at the top of Google because it has a high level of experience. Where does experience come from? Your personal journey, your personal touch, your personal knowledge on things, firsthand knowledge. How did that food taste? What did skydiving feel like? That is experience. You actually have to go through it. And what does a robot, what are their limits? What is the limit of AI? It's that feel, sense, touch. However, I do believe that AI is, especially with AGI coming on the scene, which is artificial general intelligence, I think that AI will be able to replicate human experience. So I do think that is coming. And that is for another time. The topic of how AI will impact work is becoming so critical to me. You're going to hear me talk about it more often. I'm actually working on my own podcast launch on this topic with thought leaders because I don't think we're talking about this enough. How much AI will actually transform every single thing we do at work. Quite literally. Like one day, AI could be sitting here doing everything for me except me showing up in my being. But it's doing everything else for me. So that's a rabbit hole. Rabbit holes aside, let's talk about the extra E in EAT. So in December of 2022, Google added that experience. Expertise, authoritativeness, and trust was the standard EAT, but that extra E they added in December of 2022. Trust is what floats up from that EAT. Untrustworthy pages will never rank, no matter how experienced, expert, or authoritative they seem. And trust, the trust flow, the trust factor is highly dependent on links, the links that you have. So Google's like, in the end, you got to do link building, people. Link building matters. Nothing new there. But in 2022, as the year concluded and Google knew that AI is here to stay, remember in April, they said that they would penalize AI written content, and then they completely changed their tune, and we saw big websites with AI content begin to rank in November, December, and then in December, bam, Google changes their guidelines, and they talk about things other than de-ranking AI content. And this is what they start to talk about. Okay, pay attention. This is important. This is going to give you some keys to know how to rank your content, how to write ranking content, how to generate ranking content, because we don't need to write it anymore, and that's the truth. So, what is a trustworthy page? What is a page that achieves a purpose? It's a page from a person with a wealth of personal experience. And then Google says this is a quote from their search quality rater guidelines, an in-depth document you can read for yourself. Just Google it. Or you can just watch this video because I broke it down for you. For example, which would you trust? A product review from someone who has personally used the product, or a review from someone who has not? Could have said a robot who has not used the thing, driven the car, ridden the skateboard. A robot's not going to tell you how the wind in their hair feels. However, I think they can replicate that very well. And that's a whole nother topic that's coming. So we got to keep in mind, we have to work with the robots at this point. There's no way around it. We have to embrace working with them. Just like when the internet came around, we had to embrace the internet. We couldn't say, oh, the internet's going to die and I'm going to go back to brick and mortar. That would have been really stupid. And the people that said that, their businesses failed. We are there with AI. If we think that AI is going away, we're wrong. It's not. It's going to change and impact how we work forever. So in Google Search Quality Rater Guidelines, they continue to say that if EAT is low, people will not, they cannot or should not use the main content on the page. If a page is highly inexpert, and look at that, look how they said that. If a page on YMYL topics is highly inexpert, what is YMYL? Your money or your life? Financial, legal, medical content. Those are the hardest categories to write. In my writing agency, which I sold 2 years ago, we wrote that content and we literally had to go hire a nurse. There was no other way around it because no writer could fabricate that knowledge. It would put other people's lives, quite honestly, in danger. So Google knows that, and they know that AI is going to even touch that topic. So they're talking about expertise. If it's inexpert content, if it's riddled with inaccuracy, if it's superficial garbage, then it should be considered untrustworthy and rated the lowest. And I'm going to show you how to even safeguard yourself against that. If you're using AI, you can still use AI. So we'll talk about that. Extremely negative reputations equal the lowest rating of a website. And reputation, by the way, that touches more than just your website. That touches what you're saying on social media. Does it match? Are you topically relevant? Or are you over here talking about baking and cooking and over here talking about building a law firm? Those things don't go together. Or is your reputation on, you name the platform, Glassdoor, Capterra, G2, is that reputation low or is it zero? You need to be building that up. That matters. So the publisher's expertise, the author's expertise, it matters more than it ever did. This is true, especially going into an age of AI. So bylines, right? Guest blogging, do that. Get more bylines. Get cited on other publications. Go speak at industry events. Get your byline published on that speaking, that event website. Because all that matters more than it ever did to your site authority. And if we know that low quality pages lack EAT, we want to build up EAT. We want to build up our expertise, our authority, our trustworthiness on the web. So you've heard me speak about this before if you've watched any of my trainings on this topic, but I love that Google actually gives us examples, and you can find these in the Page Quality Rater Guidelines, where when they talk about experience and expertise, it's actually having done the thing. Not just talking about the thing, but actually having done it. And you'll see, I'll show you, like, the way to build this up is to do one of two things. You've either done it yourself, or you hire somebody to run the AI machine who has done it themselves. That's it. That's all you need to do. And because of AI, we can now 10x the output of that single expert, which is pretty incredible. But you still want an expert running the show, right? You still want an expert, a human expert, to be clear, reviewing this. And I do think AI will get better and better. And that's why better smash that like button and hit subscribe, because we might change our opinion on this coming up because of how much AI is evolving. I think that AI will be able to replicate our own human experience one day. And I think that we can quite literally have them drive the things, operate the things at way less cost, which is honestly a good thing if we can get freed up to do better and better things with our time. Isn't that a good thing? I wouldn't look at it any other way. So the highest EAT factor, the top rankings in Google, go to people that are the most trustworthy. People, I say people. Gotta stop saying people, because we can do this with AI. It's pages, content. The content that's the most trustworthy. So again, how is trustworthy defined? Look at this. Google actually talks about social media posts, forum discussions. What's being said about you on Reddit, on Quora? Are you there? Are you present with a byline? Are you present on your social media handles? Are you posting good content there? One thing we did at Content at Scale was we hired an amazing digital marketing manager. Her name's Diana, and she comes from a background of social media where she co-ran Twitter chats with SEMrush, worked for them. And so you'll see our social media is getting better and better because of her and what she's putting out. It's more creative. It's setting us apart. So that's actually important to us because of this. High E goes to brands that actually have a good presence on social media. And I'm not talking about posting a reel every day. I'm talking about getting content out on your Twitter feed, now X, LinkedIn feed, Facebook feed, YouTube, the main core channels, Instagram, getting content out on those feeds that represent you and your experience, even if it's just 1 post a week, 2 posts a month. But you got to put out content there. Firsthand experience can make a social media post or discussion page high quality. Google actually says that. Firsthand experience. So who can you tap into if you have a team, if you're doing this for a client? What's their firsthand experience? Something I love to do is bring in and highlight the stories of clients, of users, of customers. Here's what Alex said about building a team with the Content at Scale AI writer. That's firsthand experience, right? And it's coming straight from your customer. You don't have to fabricate that. That's a beautiful way to build social media content that, boom, answers EAT. So the highest EAT, I love this definition, goes to the uniquely authoritative go-to source. That is your goal. That's your goal whenever you build a website. If you can't be the uniquely authoritative go-to source for that topic, pick another topic. Pick a topic that you're okay settling in and building on for years. And maybe if you have a lot of knowledge and you're an SEO expert and you've been publishing websites for years, maybe you know how to get in the driver's seat, build up content on that site, flip it, make money. But if you're not that expert, get ready to buckle in for some serious length of time. Right? It took me 10 years to build my first website to 100,000 per month in traffic and revenue. And I did that 100% organically without ads. It was a self-sustaining machine. And I was only working 4 hours a week. It was beautiful for $100,000 a month business, which I sold in 2021 because I wanted to get out of the writing agency life. And I'm still glad I did. But what I did was I became the uniquely authoritative go-to source. That site had a 70 DR. It was built up with 1,000 blog posts on writing, content marketing, blogging, copywriting, every topic under the sun on what we did as a service. That's what you have to do. Quite literally, content at scale. Is that a plug for Content at Scale? Sure. But it's also the definition of what you actually have to do. You have to be the uniquely authoritative go-to source for a topic. So here's the question, right? Are you telling me that we can still win with this approach? Content at scale, high quality links, bylines, mentions. Can we still win when generative AI is coming to search? Can we? Okay, so here's the cool thing about what's coming to AI in search. Google isn't going to feature the Forbes of the worlds anymore. They're actually going to feature the niche sites and give those niche sites attributions up in the above the fold generative AI experience. Did you hear that? I've run tons of tests. These screenshots come from what Google featured in their I/O keynote. And I've run tons of tests. And I've seen others run tons of tests. And time again, and I'll say Google still has a mess on their hands. Google's generative AI is pretty messy. It's pretty disappointing. It's not helpful a lot of times. They do have some work to do, but to be fair, they've only had months to work on this. They've had years to work on SERPs and the blue links and the featured snippets. And the people also ask, right? So I think we do owe Google a little bit of patience here because this is so new for them. But also, Google needs to get with it, right? They're making how much from people like us, publishers and advertisers? So I do think there is some pressure. They need to get with this. They need to give us a better experience. But the beautiful thing here is that in the new generative AI, time and time again, they're featuring niche sites. And if you think about what they talked about with EAT, what was it? They're looking for publishers to become the uniquely authoritative go-to source. Have you answered every question on the topic on your site? Have you done a good job representing yourself on social media? Are you consistent? And by consistent, I don't mean a live stream a day. I mean like a couple posts a month that are really good, right? That's good consistency. So Google continues to show in Bard, in SGE, whenever you look for results and the generative AI is there providing the results, you'll see over and over a pretty awesome spotlight given to niche brands, not Forbes, not big publishers that write on everything just for views, but real sources. So if we know this, then we know that EAT isn't going away, attribution isn't going away, and yes, there are some incredible disappointments where it's happened to me. Google swipes content from other people. That's what they generate in the AI in search, and they don't give any citation for that swiped result. It's up to us, I would say, to tell Google how much we hate that. So if you thumbs down that every time you see it and you send feedback, that's a good thing. Do more of that. That's what I do. I will thumbs down Google results like a crazy person every time I see that. And I'll show you firsthand what I mean. So if we go to Google and we search for a long tail keyword, like for example, how to write a book, and we click the generative AI search results, look what happens. Are you kidding me? There's no citation here. And I guarantee you, it probably just swiped a result here. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to thumbs down that. Offensive. Google swiped content without citing a source. So we got to tell Google that we don't like this stuff, and I know that we have big authors like John Grisham. We have authors suing OpenAI, suing Google for this stuff, and they're losing because it's hard to fight this battle, right? These are the monsters of the world. Google is a $1 trillion monster. But what did we talk about earlier? We talked about how Google in the end still has to care about this stuff because their money comes from us, the publishers. So in the end, we actually have the voice. We are capable of telling Google exactly what we think and being heard, I would argue. Okay, so attribution to EAT is critical. Experience is your ticket to the top. Remember that, right? My view on that hasn't changed. How are you going to add in experience? You're going to humanize your AI written content. Follow my craft framework. If you do this, you won't ever publish jargony, low quality, crappy content. This craft framework will give you and your writers serious clarity on what to do. And this is what it stands for. C, cut the fluff. R, review, edit, and optimize. A, add images, visuals, and media. F, fact check. And T, trust build. Add in that personal story. That's how you trust build, your own personal touch. This is how to craft great content from AI. And we have a full hour-long tutorial that comes from my head of content, Alyssa, going through how to actually apply these steps. Be sure to share that tutorial with your team. Your writing team is completely free on our YouTube channel. That tutorial will give you a in-depth look on how to actually take AI content and put in that personal experience factor, which is quite honestly creating content that's good. Right? That's what Google cares about in the end. So this is what you need to focus on as we wrap up. What's important to Google, the AI in search, you winning? How? Specific niches and content's going to win. This is your area of expertise. Maybe this is a niche site that you're going to hand over to somebody to run effectively. You're going to apply the craft framework. You're going to generate content with AI, but you're going to make sure that that content is niche specific, full of experience. You're going to build up content at scale. You need to answer every question on the topic, and then you need to get links. You need to be cited as a high quality source by other people. So this year at Content at Scale, we have crushed it in the rankings, and I'm going to get out of here at this point and actually show you what it looks like in SEMrush right now. So we're looking at over 47,000 keywords, and it's all around that topic area that we have, which is we have a free AI detector, right? So we rank for that keyword. We are talking about ChatGPT. We're talking about how to write with AI content. We're talking about those kinds of topics. And over here on Content Hacker, I'm doing the same thing at a lesser velocity. So we're talking about quite a broad range of topics, from how to use your email in a smarter way, because that's something that matters to a content hacker, to how to stay motivated while you work from home, right? So we're talking about things that matter to people that create content for growing their business. And then at Content at Scale, we're talking about AI detection, ChatGPT detection. We're talking about how to write a book with AI. So think about the topics that you want to be known for, stick to those for your website, and I'm telling you, you're going to kill it. You're going to get traffic, and that traffic's going to convert. And then last tip, I would really encourage you to actually play around with Google search and the generative AI box. See what kind of answers come up and see how you can still win. Think like the user. Like, this is not going to help me. I'll be honest, this is not going to help me. What's going to help me is clicking on a result and reading a guide from an in-depth expert that actually has experience. So there you go. That's how to win in Google's new era of generative AI. If you have any comments, follow-up thoughts, drop them in the comments. I look forward to seeing you right back here on our channel.